going on, Space Monkeys? Welcome to Political Fight Club. I'm your host, Robert Durden. Today we're going to be going over Biden's ARP, or his rescue plan. And I'm not going to go into it too in-depth, but I am going to give you the highlights. It did pass. He signed it into law yesterday. So I'm also going to give you an A through F rating, or a grade on the bill. A lot of people have been saying that it's the biggest piece of legislation for the working man in decades, to which I say, yeah, well, we had Clinton, Bush, and Obama, and before that another Bush. No shit. All we've gotten past over the last couple of decades has been like TPP, NAFTA, Citizens United, the Communications Act, all that horrible shit. So that's not really saying much, but I agree it is a landmark piece of legislation and it is going to help a lot of people, but it doesn't have a lot of the things that I want in it. So let's go over the good things first. It does set aside a lot of funding for state and local governments that have been particularly bankrupted or ravaged by COVID. And that includes a lot of money for Native Americans as well, which is awesome because they have been particularly badly hit by COVID, Native American tribes. So that's good. There's money going to schools, which is good. And of course, the things that you're going to see in your own lives more than likely are the stimulus checks, which were supposed to be $2,000, but of course the Democrats whittled themselves down for no reason to $1,400 just so they could weasel their way out of $600 that they owe you. But every person is getting $1,400, including children, so that's good. And the most important thing that it does is it does cut childhood poverty by 50%, and it does that by doing a tax credit for children. Like I think it's $3,000 per child above the age of 6, $3,600 for children below the age of 6. Those go out on July 1st, and they're a one-time thing. That reverts back to its original price tag after 1 year, I believe. But that does help. But I mean, it's really kind of a letdown because there's a lot of things not included, like there is no Medicare for COVID, no Medicare for all, no really healthcare expansion whatsoever, not even a public option, which he pushed. So, of course, that's a letdown, but we knew that wasn't going to be in there. The big letdown, obviously, is that there is no minimum wage hike included in it, and the Democrats shot themselves in the foot. Kamala Harris could have overruled the parliamentarian. She didn't. Joe Biden could have strong-armed Kyrsten Sinema and Joe Manchin and the rest of the Senate Democrats to vote correct. He did not. And the squad could have blocked it and voted as a block in the House when the Senate passed the bill, and they could have insisted on it, but they didn't. And of course, the spineless squad is out on Twitter, since the bill passed, screaming to the rooftops, going, "Well, the fight for $15 isn't over." Bullshit! It's dead. It's not coming back. You're never going to get it under Biden now, unless they do budget reconciliation next time, and they decide a year from now to finally grow some nuts, because none of the squad did a goddamn thing for Medicare for all or the $15 minimum wage. Now they're out there going, well, don't worry, we're going to continue fighting. What fight? You guys didn't fight at all. What fight? You guys are damn near useless. What fight did you start that you're going to continue? The Twitter yelling? You're less than useless. So the squad let it die as well. They're as culpable as Harris or Biden or Manchin or Sinema in letting it die. So no minimum wage for you. Thank the squad and thank those blue dog Democrats in the Senate and, of course, Kamala Harris and Joe Biden for that. That being said, this is going to give people a fair chunk of money up front over the next couple of weeks to months. But let's remember, guys, the majority of people in the country are behind on rent, and a lot of those people are 6, 7, 10 months behind on rent. This has been going on a year. Not a lot of people lost their jobs and didn't have a year's worth of savings to keep paying rent. They're multiple months behind on rent. So let's say you just live in a place that costs $700 to $1,000 a month, and that's on the cheap end. Let's say $1,000 for the sake of math. And you're 7 months behind. That's $7,000 you owe, and that doesn't include other things that you might have fallen behind on, like maybe you have a medical bill you have to pay, maybe student loans, maybe your car needs to have something fixed that you've been putting off for months and months and months. So if you get the stimulus and you're a family of 2 or 3, that means you get $2,000-3,000 and then let's say you have one kid, a couple with one kid, or maybe you're single and have a couple of kids, you'll get the income tax credits, or the tax credits that are $3,000 or $3,600 per kid. Let's say that you get, $7,000, $8,000, $9,000 here as a family of three. Pretty cool. That's kind of like what my family's going to get. But if you're behind 8 months on rent, immediately all this stuff goes to is rent, landlord, credit card bills, medical bills, fixing the car. It immediately gets soaked up by everything that's been put off for the last year. So this doesn't really help anybody. I made the point that it's like we really needed, we're drowning, and we needed Biden to throw us a raft or a life preserver, and he's like, here's a water wing. Here's a water wing for you instead. So it's like, yeah, it's going to help a little, but exactly how long are we going to be able to do this now? How long is this going to help? It's like a Band-Aid on a gaping wound. So it really isn't as great as people are touting it, and to say that it's the greatest piece of legislation in the last 40 or 50 years doesn't say much. There hasn't been any fucking good legislation over the last 5 decades. Tell me what good legislation you're comparing it to when you say something like that. So it's, I'm giving it a D+, and for an F student, that's pretty good. It's like when Bart Simpson finally studies in that early episode where he finally gets a D+ on a test and he passes 3rd grade or 4th grade or whatever. That's Joe Biden. I'll give you a pat on the back because this does help people, but it's like they seriously calculated the very bare minimum that they could give to people to have them not riot. And it's like, please, sir, don't riot. Here's your money. You're going to be okay for the next 6 to 8 weeks, I think. And then after that, we'll renegotiate and get you $15 minimum wage and all those things you really wanted. Okay, little buddy? Here's a hair mussing. It's a stopgap at best. So, and they are not going to do anything more. This will probably be the only stimulus bill that Biden passes. I think they're hoping to basically ride the momentum from this until the midterms, and then they'll lose, and then they have an excuse not to do anything the last 2 years, and it'll still be a lame duck presidency because this is a hair better than what Donald Trump did. It's the bare minimum that they could give us to distract us from how angry we are with them. So it's, at least we can look forward to having our money coming in, and maybe some of us can get back on our feet. But what it really needed to have was Medicare for COVID and recurring stimulus checks or a UBI of some sort. And that's not going to happen. It's never going to happen. And minimum wage is dead. Don't let anyone tell you different. Anybody, including the squad or a politician, that tells you that they're still working to get a minimum wage done is gaslighting you. It will never happen. It will never in a million years happen. It's impossible unless you go through budget reconciliation again next year and fight for it that time. But they didn't fight for it this time, even one iota. Not one fucking person fought for minimum wage. Not one fucking person fought for it. So you're telling me that the next time when we can do budget reconciliation, if we do budget reconciliation, which they're not, that you guys are going to stand up and then we're going to have Biden force it and Kamala Harris break any ties and then the squad fight for it in the House? Get fucked. It's never going to happen. It's a fantasy. It's gone. So that's on the squad. They should live that down forever. They can tweet about it as much as they want, but they're damn near useless. They don't have a single leader amongst them. They're spineless. That's why I'm going to call them the spineless squad. So thanks for nothing, but there are some good things in the bill. Let's look forward to those checks being in by the end of March, hopefully. And, then we got to get to work on the things that we can get via executive order, like I was talking about. Student debt cancellation can be done via executive order. Same thing with marijuana legalization. Those are the things we have to go at after this because this is the only bill we're getting passed. There's not going to be another one. So enjoy it while it lasts, guys. Our bank accounts should be back to where they were in a couple of months, and then they'll go, well, what happened to all that money we gave you 3 months ago? All right. Keep fighting the good fight out there, guys. I'll do another episode later. See ya.